Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of my top 5. I'm your host as always, HCD Rules 0001. Now I hope you now understand the format of the show. I was trying to think of the right word there. And this episode will be all about my top 5 movies or films. With the obviously additional content / extra choices at the end. So as I say, I'll do them in reverse order. So number 5 is a comedy sequel, produced in 2001 I think it was. It came out to critical acclaim. The first movie in this franchise was pretty good, memorable lines, specifically with flutes and stuff, but the second movie was 10 times better. Every one of the memorable cast members that was in the first movie came back for the second. Jason Biggs, Alison Hannigan, Sean William Scott, Thomas Ian Nicholas, Eugene Levy. Just funny as hell. American Pie 2. I love this movie, and I love it to so much of the extent I actually typed out the script as I was watching the movie back and forth. Big news for 2012. American Pie, the reunion with the proper cast members. None of this Stifler's younger cousin nonsense. This is proper cast members from the first 3 films. Even Oz and Heather are back for number 3. Who weren't in number 3 that are back for this reunion movie. It's basically anyone who was in the first 2 American Pie films will be in this one called The Reunion, out later this year. Funny as hell, as I say, good characters, strong storyline. And basically the reasoning, just a great movie. You can sit down any time basically to watch the thing. It's that much of a movie. I haven't seen it extraordinarily recently. I don't remember watching it last year, but just as I say, I even bought the soundtrack to it. I was enjoying the music that much. But American Pie 2, if I could only take, say, five films with me, I would have to take these 5. But like I say, others will be put in at the end of the video. Number 4. Number 4 is an action-adventure sequel. It's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, of the 4 Indiana Jones films, obviously the 4th one made rather recently, it was very good, full of action, full of adventure as you come to expect from these movies, but it was nothing compared to the previous movies. And the best of those was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It was all about the search for the Holy Grail. Indiana finds out his father has gone missing. And it's all about a race against time against the Nazis to find the Grail. Because the Grail can give you everlasting life. And what more does any dictatorship? But amazing story, fantastic acting. Sean Connery, just basically his best performance, and this guy was the first James Bond. I mean, just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Number 3. Number 3 is a superhero film. It's my favourite superhero film. Set around Christmas time, and I did watch it this Christmas. Basically just amazing film. It's Batman Returns. The mere fact that you are trusted by the public, and you're framed. The public trust in you begins to be lost and things like that. You just know that they enjoyed filming this. Danny DeVito's performance as the Penguin, absolutely fantastic performance. Michelle Pfeiffer, you couldn't imagine her in a more sexy role, but she played it to perfection. Catwoman, just brilliant on screen. You can tell they enjoyed every moment of it. Brilliant music, fantastic script. Just a great action movie. And for anyone, you know, I know we've just had Christmas, but for anyone looking for a Christmas movie that isn't technically a Christmas movie, shove Batman Returns in your DVD player. Give it a look. Number two is my favourite of the Star Wars films. It's Return of the Jedi. You know, Star Wars, what people know as Star Wars, what I know as A New Hope, which is episode 4, the first one. Great film, but in terms of action, storyline and everything, basically everything gets revealed to us in Return of the Jedi. We're still reeling on the announcement that Darth Vader is Luke's father, which was shocking at the end of Empire. But Jedi just closes it all up. Again, fantastic music, as you'd expect from John Williams. Did the music for the indie films. Great storyline. We find out that Leia's Luke's sister. Bloody amazing. But if you watch them in chronological order, 1 to 6, then this is number 6, so you basically know that already. Jedi gives you the redemption of Darth Vader after all of his wrongdoings. The son saves the father, and in many ways it's just a redeeming film, but all in all, brilliant. And finally, number one, my favourite film of all time. See, I was trying to think about this time last year, you know, what was my favourite film? And it sort of came to me that my favourite film began a franchise that I loved in my childhood. I still love to this day. I downloaded most of the cartoons about 2 years ago now. It's Ghostbusters. Comedy, action, you know, I wouldn't say horror or thriller, but you know, there are some so-called scary bits in there if you don't know the film. Just a brilliant cast. Murray as Peter Venkman, deadpan as deadpan can be. Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, you know, just the two scientists. You know, Venkman is supposed to be a scientist, but he doesn't really care. He's just in it for the cash, and the women and the fame, really. But great music, great premise. I mean, the mere fact that you can, first of all, locate a ghost, catch a ghost, and then put it into a containment field, just a great idea. And the comedy as well, like I say, the music, the mere fact they use an old 1950s ambulance as a car, and they paint it out to look like a ghost, and you know, it's just a brilliant film. And the best thing about it, Stay Puffed at the end. Oh wow. Choose the form of the Destructor. I mean, so instead of gargoyles and winged bats and fucking giant shit all over the place, you get a giant fucking man of marshmallow, mate, and he comes down to annihilate the world. Brilliant, absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. So that's basically my top 5 films. I have to go on to the extras part, the additional content, ones that I may have forgotten. You know, things like The Matrix, just an amazing movie. As many people would say, Matrix is more or less responsible for every action scene that's filmed these days. You know, all of this slow moving stuff, you know, was unheard of at the time the Matrix was put out there. Batman Begins, retelling of how Bruce Wayne became Batman. Dark Knight, its sequel, that's got to be mentioned. Shrek 2, I won't say Shrek 3, it wasn't as good, but Shrek and Shrek 2, the mere fact that an ogre living by himself in a swamp has to rescue a princess, and the princess actually falls in love with him. Great idea, great voice cast. Eddie Murphy is a talking donkey. I mean, doesn't get much better. Going back to Eddie Murphy, the original Beverly Hills Cop, great film. Get the fuck out of here, you know, brilliant. And that gets cut from the movie when it's shown on TV. It's like, get the hell out of here. It's like, what? Piss off. Terminator 1, 2, and the ending of Terminator 3. Like I say, Terminator 3 was okay, but not to the standard of 1 and 2. Terminator 2 just kicks ass. Terminator 1's okay, but it's no Terminator 2. Terminator 2 could have been in the top 5. I've got to keep going. I have to say, I love... This could have been in my top 5. This is my number 6. Resident Evil Apocalypse, which is basically Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3 in terms of storyline. Anyone who knows me knows I love Resident Evil 3. Just a fantastic movie, in my opinion. It's got everything that Resident Evil 3 had. Additional mentions for The Expendables, just a blow up gun action fest. Brilliant film, in my opinion. That's what I want to see in film. Not, oh my darling, I love you. You know, get out of town. Give me a gun. Die Hard. Here we go. Die Hard. Watched it over the Christmas fortnight or so. Fucking excellent film. One man with a gun filled with 15 bullets, no shoes, no socks, goes up against, say, 15 to 20 terrorists in a high-rise building. What could happen next? You know, great premise, great action, great catchphrases, you know. Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Didn't particularly like Die Hard 2 myself, but Die Hard 3, you know, a deadly game, as Simon says. Samuel L. Jackson's big movie break. I mean, people would say Pulp Fiction would be. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Die Hard 4, great film. As I say, Star Wars. The other 5, really. I love the story. The tragedy of Vader, his redemption, you know. American Pie 3 just gives me, there's a big geek hope. The original 60s Batman movie, full of zaps, kapows, splats, zowies, gunargs, you know, just for sheer comedy value, that movie has to be put in there. The Condemned with Stone Cold Steve Austin, yet another action, you know, punch out, kick, bullet fest. I love a good action movie where you don't have to think, you know what I mean? You just watch it because it's fun. And if that's the sort of movie you're talking about, you've got to think about movies like Commando, with Schwarzenegger, you know, with a body count it's like 200. I'm struggling to think of other movies at the moment. You know, you've got to put a couple of Harry Potters in there. Alright, everyone knows the story of Harry Potter, but you've got to say, you know, anyone who's got ideas like that in their head and they put them down on the paper is going to make a good movie. You know, it's difficult to think of other films that could have been on the list, which is why the additional content part of this particular show is here. American Pie, the first one, the other 3 Indiana Jones films, action, mystery, you know, drama, all sorts of stuff like that. 7, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, great film. The Final Destination movies, no brain, just sit there and have fun. Just great film. Sherlock Holmes, the new one with Robert Downey Jr., great film. Action, drama, mystique, you know, all the sorts of film I like. Just bloody good films. As I say, first 2 Shreks, most of the CGI animated films that have come out in the last 10, 12 years, you know, Toy Story, Surf's Up, Happy Feet, you know, movies like that. Aladdin, Disney one with Robin Williams as the genie, that has to get a extra mention. Just a fantastic movie. Just looking around my bedroom now just to see if I can get any more inspiration for favourite films. Can't think of any offhand. Like I say, it is rather difficult to think of. So like if someone said to you, think of your top 5 films that you've ever seen. Well, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that's got to go in. Just Gene Wilder, magnificent performance. You have to see the film full of magnificent colour. Things that you can only just imagine, you know. That's more or less it. Simpsons movie gets an extra mention. You know, Madcap Homer goes even more off the edge. But that's about it for this episode of my top 5. Say any of your favourite films as a reply, or you know, make a video yourself and give me your top 5 favourite films, and I'll see you next time.